Okay, with that said, I have to do this because I got to give the over-the-top intro to everyone who participates in my podcast, even y'all. Y'all are my friends. That's what makes it so interesting about this thing. Y'all are my friends. However, with no stretch of the imagination, with no things that are happening right now, my next guests are one of the most fashionable, relatable, personable people I know. When it comes down to people, when it comes down to your heart, your senses, these are the six senses of what you're supposed to be as a human. And Nate. With that said, y'all guys have made it okay for me to be who I am today. You guys have made it all right to just sit here and love the fact of the being in the skin you in. If I ever gave the over-the-top intro to two people who deserve to be on this podcast, that is my girl Sharita, and by public opinion, I guess, Nate. Sharita, Nate, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know I give the over-the-top intro to anyone who graced my space, but I got to be honest with you. When this concept of doing this podcast showed up, I couldn't say yeah quick enough, and it didn't occur to me how much Nate has been on my actual podcast where we broke down, if for nothing else, we broke down Mad Men in a 3-hour podcast.
That's right.
Made me who I am today. Rita, I love you. This is your first time in this craziness. You are seeing this A1 day one, and I like to apologize in advance. Let's just do that right now. But we are here to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, near and dear to yours, mainly because it is what it is. And I gotta do that. I gotta do that host boy mode. I'm in host boy right now. I gotta say this. Y'all are my friends. So I have to say it up front and pretend like I don't know the questions I'm about to ask about the subject I am asked. It is the Daziah T Crawford Foundation. And I know this, I am aware of this, but I would not be doing my job if I didn't say this up front. I am merely a narrator to those who don't know about what we're about to talk about. So, guys, thank you for being on the podcast. We're about to talk about the Daziah T Crawford Foundation. I am going to give the floor to you with one question. The first question, and I agonized about this all day. I'm dead serious. You're laughing. I'm not laughing. Here's the question. How did this come about?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you to the Sam Show Nation for having us on today. It's truly a pleasure to be with you once again. You are literally one of the funniest podcasters that I know, that I can say that I know personally.
Hey, Pam on stage. Sorry.
The opinions and subject matter that you put forth are groundbreaking, and a lot of people don't touch what you talk about. You do it unapologetically, and I love you for that. And so that kind of is a precursor or a catalyst, if you will, to the subject of our foundation. Your question was, how did we get here? Why are we here? Well, again, for those that may not know, my name is Nathaniel Crawford. I'm the CEO and founder of the Daziah T Crawford Foundation, which is a 501c3 certified nonprofit organization where we raise money to support college students in the curricula of journalism and performing arts. And so that being said, we have several students across the country, which my COO, Sharita, will get into at a later time here. But as far as the how we got here, well, it's very simple. I will use, because I know where I'm at and I know the form that I'm on, I'll start out by using a Samism. We got here because the Warren police are stupid. And that's how it starts. For those of you who may not know, my daughter, Daziah T. Crawford, was unfortunately killed on August the 5th of 2018 in an accident in her neighborhood on the east side of Detroit that was caused by a police chase that originated in Warren, where it led into the suspect that was being chased hitting Daziah's car, killing her and injuring my son, Dally. And so that's how we got here. It's been a long 5 years. If you do the math, 2018 to 2024, we're approaching the 5th year anniversary of this incident. And it was just something that, you know, her legacy was just so bright and she had so much life ahead to live that it just, we couldn't just let it just be done with that. We couldn't let a tragedy just sit there and be a tragedy. There had to be triumph that came out of this situation. So the Lord put on our hearts to turn tragedy into triumph. And that has led over a lot of grassroots groundbreaking that we're still doing. It led to the founding of the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation. Again, as you can see, if you go to our website, www.tdtcfoundation.org, then you will see that we support all performing arts and journalism. So whether it be a playwright to a newscaster, newscasting student, whether it be a dancer or someone doing spoken word, whether it be someone like Evan Cunningham, our first scholarship recipient, you could be a country artist. We are all about performing arts and journalism. The performing arts, for those of you that don't know, they share 4%, only 4% of the $365 billion a year raised just in this country in scholarships.
Wow.
$365 billion a year, and the arts have to share 4% of that, which is not even a drop in the bucket. So what we do at the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation is we do what we can with what we have to support students, whether it be students who are standing in the gaps and they just need a little bit more help once they've been successfully accepted into the universities and colleges that they're going to. That's when, you know, once they go through our application process, and our application review committee reviews their subject matter and their talent, and then they make all the prerequisites that we have. Then we award a financial blessing, if you will, to those students. But that's an overall scope of who we are. But going back to your original question, Sam, we're here because the Warren police chased a woman who was extremely high into the city of Detroit at a very high rate of speed. And their accident, the accident ended up happening just north of 7 Mile, again, 5 houses away from where my daughter grew up. And so we just couldn't let the legacy die. We couldn't let it end. We had to do something, and so here we are.
One of the craziest things about this, now I buried the lead because in my promo and all this other good stuff, guys, I'm your friends.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be this thing where I'm going to ask you questions. I gotta like pretend to be Gayle King, and I'm gonna like act like I don't know the answers to this.
Yeah, of course.
But you're right. When that happened, all hands on deck. Everything about this was about not only protecting Daziah herself, the person, but it was like, why is this happening? You gotta go through all the grief and you gotta go all the stuff. And I thank you so much because, man, this is not a cool Band-Aid to pull off. Just making it plain. So I say this to you guys. Even though this tragedy happened, you guys found a way to instill in, I guess, the next gens. I just got these grades, for the record.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I just got these. These like, I've been onked for the last 6 weeks, but I got them. But there's a group of kids, and I'm only using that term mainly because I got these grades, that may not necessarily know the circumstances, but you have reached out to guys in Eastern Michigan University, things that have been localized, and there are, like how you say, journalism students, and I barely counts as a journalism student, but from Eastern Michigan University. Look at them hats in the back. But either way, I barely count. But you guys have done that to push this legacy. And the only question I'm going to ask this is, and I'm going to pretend like I don't know the answer, is why?
Well, the why is, like I said, we just, Daziah was such a bright young lady that, and she was so gifted and talented. She was a recording artist. She was an actress. She was an activist. For the majority of her life, she was all three. And you can't let a light that's burning that bright just fizzle, simmer, and die. It just doesn't happen. And especially not on our watch. Daziah was my first child, my only daughter. And I'm like, I'm just not going to only have her in pictures. I'm not just going to only have her in video on my phone. I want to see this girl's name in lights all over the place, because that's what she deserved, because she did not deserve what happened to her. But we don't pick our futures. We can try to angle towards them the best way that we can. But like the Bible says, the ways of the Lord are yea and amen. And that's it. It's a wrap. So once something is allowed to happen, then you have to react. And so our reaction was not to GoFundMe, because we had insurance. Anybody under the sound of my voice listening, insure your kids, because you never know when you will need a policy for them. God forbid, but insure your kids. So there was no GoFundMe. We didn't need any of that. We didn't have to take a special collection. Although a lot of monies were given from the churches and other local organizations. My employer at the time gave substantially to the family, but we had all of our ducks in a row. So what we decided to do was just literally just be like, for lack of a better way to put it, it doesn't end like this. This is not the end of Daziah's story. Daziah's story does not end with a rogue cop cowboying on the east side of Detroit, leading up to a crash that ended my child's life. What he did was he ended her life physically, but he started a fire throughout the world when it came to Daziah's story, or when it comes to Daziah's story, I would say. And so that's the why, Sam. The why is, it just doesn't end. It doesn't end here. It's like, you and I are both movie buffs, and we like a lot of the same movies. It's like what was his name? The Mummy, at the very last scene before, like, he gets taken down in the pit of the black water.
Fraser. Yo, I'm with it. Come on.
And he says the most profound statement that they use, for those historians out there. They use this statement a lot in the Egyptian histories. But he said, as the pharaoh, the mummy, was dying, death is only the beginning.
I'm with that.
It's only the beginning, because after death comes legacy. And it's not about what you did. She only had 19 years on this earth. So it's not, and she impacted a lot of people in that 19 years.
He did.
So it's like, well, what will the next 19 look like? What will the next 20, the next 50, the next 100? And so we're making sure that her legacy stays out there in a positive light, doing positive things for people who are game changers like she was going to be and like she was. You know, we're talking about a child who, in the 8th grade, when Trayvon Martin was killed in Florida, marched to the principal's office to get permission for the students to wear hoodies under their uniforms, just for her to then be put on the debate team at the school, where she had to be the con and actually stand up for Zimmerman at that debate. And although it broke her heart, business is business, art is art, she did what she needed to do for the assignment, even though it went completely against how she actually felt. But that shows the versatility of the child that we're talking about, of the young woman that was blossoming, of the young lady who was already appearing on the scene through various plays and other outlets. And so it's just, again, to culminate that, to just wrap it all up, in a nutshell, she was dope, so we have to be too. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yo, that's real, because of this reason. And I'm going to say this as, call it if you will, outsider, which I'm not. Like,
not at all.
Not even close. But I have to say this because I gotta like pretend to be objective because of said podcast. I want to say this because I was there when all this is going on. So I framed my next question for Rita for this reason. Why, oh why did you decide to be the ringmaster of the craziness of the situation itself and what we are planning for the future? Because in my world, I was just a loudspeaker. I realize I get it. I talk loud, I talk to celebrities, I do my thing, and that is what it is. I mean, you obviously have an emotional spot, much like myself. Well, actually, more than myself and than himself. So what made you was just like, hey, not for nothing, y'all tripping, I'm COO, and let's try to find a through line of this to make sense of the future. So, Rita, what made you say like, hey, let me put my name in the hat because y'all crazy? That's essentially what it comes down to.
Well, it's so funny because actually it wasn't me, it was Nate. Nate actually founded, as he said, the foundation. He pulled me and Daziah's mother, Natavia, aside and had a conversation and said, we're starting a foundation. So of course the two of us are like, okay. And me being Nate's sister, that was my only niece. And I was mad as hell when everything happened. When people asked me, how did I feel? That was my response. And I just knew we had to do something. You know, Nate alluded to the fact that we didn't know what we wanted to do at that time, but we definitely knew we wanted to do something. So him being who he is as founder and CEO made me COO, you know, asked me would I be okay with that, and as also listed as one of the founders. And I said, absolutely. Anything to keep Daziah's legacy alive. So the one thing I always tell, you know, whether it's the board members or anyone else, failure is definitely not an option, because Daziah's legacy should be carried on for the type of person she is, or was. Nate just mentioned how she was as a student, as a person, very caring, giving, definitely activist as well as philanthropist. And all of those things we wanted to put into the foundation itself and exude what she represented while she was here vicariously through the students that we award. So, you know, there are all those opportunities that we want to provide to keep her name going. And once the students really research her, through all of our social media, and as Nate mentioned, our website earlier, they get a chance to see snippets not only of who she was, what she stood for, but also in the students that we award, because our review committee looks at the applications through the lens of what would Daziah do, or what would she approve of as well? How would she feel about this person being awarded or being a recipient? So that's what makes me go hard for the foundation itself, because her legacy is very important to us, as well as we want to make sure that she's represented well at any age, any time, any year, any day. So that's pretty much it for me. That's my motivation.
One of the dopest things I can say personally that there, and I'm very biased, but if I could be even more biased than what I am right now, a lot of folks from EMU, Eastern Michigan University, shout out. You can see the hats in the back. I don't know if you saw those.
We see them. We see them.
Yeah, but how good that is. Whether it be the journalism department or the performance arts department, and some of the business department have reached out because of said foundation and who I am as a person, and they wanted a leg up because of who Daziah is, or I say is all present tense, because that's the fuel that they're getting right now. So I don't mean no disrespect, but I still refer to her in the present tense. When they talk about her and what they want to do and what they, strive to be, there are some achievements, there are memories, there are things that they latch on to put the battery in their back. So I guess my question to both of you is, how do you respond to that? Because you guys set the foundation up. You guys are saying this thing, but unfortunately, she's not here anymore. But there are still people who are still moving in that same realm, myself included, as if she still is here. So how do you move with that at any given time?
That's
I'm
very
not
easy.
picking, you know what I mean? I'm not picking bones here. I'm not trying to touch a nerve here, but at the same time, I just want to see your point.
That's very easy. There's a very easy answer to that. And again, I know the audience that you have, so you know I can be a little bit lax in my response to this, but people still saying that they saw Elvis. People still saying that they saw Michael Jackson. They swear Tupac is in on an island outside of Cali somewhere. And those are people who don't impact or didn't impact anybody around our communities today. So my reference to those people, and no disrespect to any of them, but my reference to them in their absence is that if I were going to implore someone to support an individual who is no longer with us, I definitely would say Daziah, because of the impact that she left locally amongst those that physically and tangibly touched and knew her. You know, we're talking about someone who was on the I Am Song group and at that nonprofit and on the Lower East Side of Detroit that taught there every year, that babysat kids, that taught acting classes, that helped the kids learn how to sing. We're talking about someone who literally traveled all over the state of Michigan, learning lines and performing in plays, whether she had a speaking part or not. She did the work in the background until she became in the fore. And so when you have someone who was that driven and who did their own shows at EMU, she once did a performance at the Southfield Post Office. Mm-hmm. You know, we're talking about someone who was really getting their name out there. You know, she recorded 2 songs here in New Jersey that did phenomenally well. And so with someone like that, who had so much going for themselves, and then they're cut down, it can't stop. It has to go. So again, hat goes off to whatever EMU is doing. I mean, they can link up with us at any time because I know that we've linked up with them in the past, and then that flame kind of fizzled. But if they want to do something, we're more than happy to take that conversation and have that dialogue. But Sam, to be honest with you, regardless of what anybody says or does, I mean, we're rolling. Like my sister said, their failure is not an option. The ship keeps rolling down the river as the song goes, and it's a ship that everyone should be on. If you want to be a part of, you're a listener and you want to be a viewer, you want to be a part of the foundation, just shoot us an email. Sam, I'm sure we'll post all of our details on the link to this and to the samshownation.com. Reach out to us. Just say a word. If you want to go to any of our Facebook or any of the other social medias, whether it be IG or TikTok, you can go there. But it's a great organization. We're doing great work, and we're doing it literally alone because there's all these big, huge corporations and foundations out there that have already been in existence. And we get that, we respect that, we understand that. But what we would like the public to know is everyone has to start somewhere. And I've heard 1 million people listen to Daziah's story. I've heard 1 million people compliment on us on what we're doing. I've read thousands of comments of condolence on whether it be the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation Facebook, the our own personal Facebooks, the Justice for Daziah Facebook, the IGs of the same. I've heard all of these condolences and things like that, but at the end of the day, these things take money.
I get that.
It takes not just money, but it takes money and time. And money and time and money in time. We only do these scholarships twice a year, and we would love to do more, of course, but we do what we can with what we have. It's like that prophet that had at the lady house scraping the pot to get the oil. That's the type of,
I'm with you.
That's what we do, but we would love to do more. And then, not just that, but to just close that portion out, what I would also like to say is, I hope everyone out there knows that you did not have to know Daziah personally to apply for the scholarship. You don't have to be connected to the Crawford, the Ewell, or the Dillard family, or the McLean family. All you have to do is, all your student has to do is qualify. And you go to the website, do the application, and you'll see what those prerequisites and qualifications are. It's very self-explanatory. It's very well done. Shout out to Carlos, one of our board members, for helping diligently to construct our website. Sam, yourself as well. Shout out to Rodney Sanders of Grafuga Studios, who launched it in the beginning with us. All of our free tech people, our marketing people, definitely all of the cast and the host of talent at Army, ARMI Ministries, which Sharita, I'm sure, will mention when she speaks. But you don't have to be a family member. All you have to do is qualify. And that's it. Go ahead, Sam.
I was going to say, and
you nailed it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll add on to that since it was directed to both of us. I definitely want to echo Eastern Michigan University in their efforts. Quite frankly, I don't think we were aware of their efforts. So whatever they are doing, I think it would be great to collaborate with us, especially if it's in Daziah's honor. She was a proud student of Eastern Michigan University, and whenever there are opportunities for exposure of any kind, thankfully we've been able to meet with local media as far as our local news stations and our local newspapers, and that's great, along with our social media. Nate mentioned a couple of the social media that we're on, and everything is on our website as far as all of our handles and everything. But I will say that to echo Nate, it does take funding. We're diligent and working hard. We all are full-time employees, but because the foundation means so much to us, we definitely want to make sure that we give it our efforts. And let's just be honest, we are at grassroots. So grassroots takes the feet on the street. You know, you have to just start from the ground up. And because we are starting from the ground up, we're 5 years old this year. And being 5 years old, you learn a lot. We took the first couple of years to learn, okay, what is a nonprofit? What does that mean? How do you operate? And these last 3 years, we began giving out our scholarship awards. And just one correction, we give out awards once a year, not twice.
I thought about that after I said it.
Okay.
No,
I don't want people applying again. That's all. But, you know, we're very fortunate. We just picked, or our review committee, as Nate mentioned, just selected our 4 recipients for this year. As a matter of fact, this is very timely because tomorrow, Thursday, July 11th, we will award our first recipient for 2024. We create these webisodes, and we create these webisodes on Facebook Live to give each of the award recipients an opportunity for exposure. And they're always very excited about that because it's easy to give a check or send a check to the school, because we send their checks to the schools. But to give them that platform that they're all looking for, and for them to be able to use that going forward with whatever they need to do, that's what we really, really take pride in. And we know that that's something Daziah would be happy about.
one of the dopest things I think, and I know we getting up against it. We've been talking for a while, but I have to say this. Like, I take a person like your recent recipient, like Layla White. She came in the game, and I'm picking on her a little bit, mainly because of what has happened. 5 years in the game, and she's just the latest. People have been getting these awards and accolades because of this foundation. I love every single second of it because it's pursuing something that probably may not have happened in a weird way, because it's like took something horrible, but other people have a good way about it. I don't, from triumph to tragedy, however you look at it. And I guess what I'm saying to you guys is this. You guys, I want you to come forward. I want you guys to always have the success story, because this ain't y'all first. Well, Nate, you know, this ain't your last time on the podcast. Because I want y'all to have the success stories. And this is something that's near and dear to my heart personally, because of what you guys have done in the past 5 years. In the past 5 years, you've changed lives. Because, and I don't want to be morbid about this, but your life has changed.
Very true.
You guys have given more than what you've got. And I have, not just because of my ties to Eastern Michigan University, not just because of who I am to you guys, it's just, that is such a blessing. And for that young lady to be such a blessing, even AD, I'll say it like that. Even AD, she can do that, and some people get a leg up. That is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. So being up against it, knowing what Zoom does, knowing what the podcast world says, I want you to just plug away whatever they can give to the foundation. They can see the foundation. They can do whatever it takes. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
So we appreciate everything that you mentioned about Eastern Michigan University. And I was just encouraging them to collaborate with us because anything that they're doing in Daziah's honor, of course, goes towards her legacy. So we, of course, would want to be a part of that and encourage that. And as Nate mentioned, we are new, we're 5 years old. So we are at grassroots level. And it takes a lot to build that up. And there are a lot of bigger foundations that get all the money. We're learning a lot in this nonprofit space between solicited and unsolicited proposals and things of that nature. But we do encourage everyone to take a look at what we stand for, take a look at what we've accomplished in such a short amount of time. Even since our inception in 2019 with the foundation, we gave out our first award in 2021, and we literally had one applicant that was qualified that Nate mentioned earlier, Evan Cunningham, and he's a country music artist, and he is doing quite well even today. We still follow him. Yes, recording and everything.
Right.
And his family today still follows us, encourages us, shares our information. And that's what we want to be about. We want to be about that TDTCF family. And we call the applicants and recipients our alum, if you will. So since then to date, and we just awarded or notified our 4 recipients for this year. We have 13 total recipients in 3 years, while we took the first 2 years just to learn what the heck we were doing. And when we tell people that, they are just, they're wowed at the fact that we've been able to do that in such a short amount of time. So when people donate to us, they can see where the funds are going. Your audience, especially, I was so excited about your audience in particular, because these are primarily performing arts major students in that field, where Daziah, thrived in that area of acting, singing, dancing, all of that. So when people give to our foundation, they can clearly see through all of our social media where it's going and what we're doing. And we have our upcoming gala, celebrating our 5-year anniversary in October. And we need donors. We're looking for donors because we're going to have a spectacular event, with this being our first gala celebrating our 5 years. And just to also emphasize what those dollars go towards, which again are the scholarships, we've started off giving $500 each to 4 applicants qualifying. And we were able this year to increase that amount to $750 per student. So whenever you see growth, that definitely shows that there is progress. And we want to just make sure that we continue to grow those funds so that we can support these very, very talented students. So every year, our goal is to increase until we eventually get to full scholarships. And let me tell you, full scholarships are quite a bit when it comes to a performing arts major and a journalism major. So we have a long ways to go, but we're so glad that we are at the level that we are now and showing people, hey, this is where your money is going. And that's why we do the webisodes. I was mentioning we have Layla White, who is our first 2024 qualifying applicant recipient now. That we're going to have what we call webisodes. So that will be tomorrow, July 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook Live. And we're looking forward to giving her and the other recipients that platform to showcase their talent, because a lot of times they may be in competitions but it's all at that one space. They may not have an opportunity to share it on a platform and use that material going forward. So it excites us. It excites their parents as well. And we just are honored that we're able to continue Daziah's legacy that way.
One of the dopest things about this whole foundation has always, and this is just me speaking from the heart here, of the giving back. I always understand that what happened to you guys sucks. No That's it. That's just the nicest way I can say it. But when you pour back into these new kids who may not necessarily know who Daziah was at the time, or these people who understand who she is as of now and strive to be, that is such a battery in the back. And not only does that, and I'm just putting my feelings on Front Street here as a person who met Daziah. She came over my house and ate barbecue. She did all the stuff. like no, for real. That's what happened.
For years.
I wouldn't know this is what she would want of these I'll say new kids.
Mm-hmm.
These new kids who just showed up and possibly do something with the groundwork you guys have laid down. You guys, like I'm pausing myself because I ain't trying to get all emotional right here, but at the same time, there is such a level of what she has done and what you are pouring back into these new students. Just make it dope. So I agree with that. I'm going to make sure I post everything on our socials. Everything that anyone can see is all going to be about the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation of this podcast. So with that said, I'm going to do something I don't know how to do, is shut up. Now I'll let Nate go ahead and finish. Go ahead, man.
All right. So Sam, you actually reminded me of something. So you kept mentioning, Daziah, everything with the give back, giving back. Where the idea came from, where the actual spark came from for all of this. When Daziah was killed and I had to fly to Michigan. So for those that don't know, I live in New Jersey and work in New York. I've done that for many, many years. When I had to fly home, and everybody's at the house, you know how it is when somebody passes, everybody comes over to give their love, condolences, what have you. And when I walked in one day, because I went on a lot of walks during that time, and just to clear my head and be as semi-sane as I could possibly be. I walked in the house and I was talking to someone, and all these girls ran out of Daziah's room, who I soon learned to be her college roommates. And they all hugged me crying and thanked me. Well, they gave me their condolences first, but they also thanked me for all the food I gave them. And I'm like, I don't know you. I didn't feed you. And they're like, no, you did, because you and Miss Crawford would give, talking about her mom, you guys would all give her money for like groceries and stuff, but we would eat it all because she had swipes in the meal, in the dining facility, and we didn't in some cases. Because for the listeners out there, I'm not sure who fully knows the collegiate experience down to this level. But if you're on a 59% scholarship or higher, you only get 2 meal swipes per day in the dining facility. So what that means is that although your full ride scholarship should cover everything, it covers 2 meals a day, Monday through Friday. It does not cover your meals on the weekend. And that means that when your child is in finals or in midterms or in labs and they're studying all night, they're cramming, they're in their study groups and their work groups or what have you, when they're doing that, some of the time and energy that they should be taking on focusing on their studies, they have to take that time and decide, am I going to eat breakfast, skip lunch, eat dinner? Am I going to skip breakfast, eat lunch, eat dinner? Am I going to study all night, beg somebody for some money to get a pizza or something? Maybe we can cut the slices in half and share those slices. These are things that happen in the collegiate experience. And I know in the days of old, we used to say, oh, college is the proving ground. College is the proving ground. That's why we have this term poor college student. It does not have to be that way, because the people who made up that term were not talking about us. And the people who made that term definitely were not letting their kids starve. They were not letting their kids be hungry. They were not letting their kids have to choose, am I going to eat or pay for this lab? Am I going to put food in my refrigerator and get the toiletries that I need? Or am I going to buy this book? They didn't have those types of problems. And some did, but not all. So when those girls came out of that room and started explaining to me, well, the reason you had all those food charges on your credit card is because we would eat all Deja's food. We used her swipes, and then she would hit you up and be like, hey, Dad, can I use my credit card to buy a pizza? We want to go to Pizza Hut. We want to go to, Lord have mercy, we want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings. I should have stock in Buffalo Wild Wings for how many wings I bought throughout Deja's time at EMU. But that's where the spirit comes from. This is what she was doing. And in complete transparency, college students, roommates, they didn't always get along, and she didn't care. She fed everybody. If you were hungry, she fed you. If you needed something and she had it, she gave it to you. And that's the kind of stock that is in that logo that bears her name. And so we will always have that represented in the highest upper echelon of all lights when it comes to our give back. For anyone, for your listeners, Sam, or anyone that may watch or read this, just so you know, our operating costs are at the end of everything that we do, because over 97% of the funds that we raise go into the students.
That's dope.
We don't keep anything. Nobody gets a salary yet. We don't rent office space yet. We will get there, but that's not where we are right now. We do all of these things. So whereas Sharita, my COO, was giving to the people, the information she was giving to the people, your dollar for dollar goes to the student, because we're not here for anything else. Working at a university myself, I say every day, we're here for them. Without them being the student, we would not have jobs. We wouldn't be here. And so I know that there's a lot of people who don't believe in the collegiate experience. I know there's a lot of people who don't believe in giving to nonprofits. I know there's a lot of people who don't believe in giving to charity at all. And to those people, all three tiers and categories, what I would just mention and say is this: it is not the entity that you're giving to. You are investing in the future mind of a child, of someone who is going to be the next movers and shakers, the next level of politicians, the next actors, the next writers. For all we know, we may have given a scholarship to the next Spielberg. We have no idea. We may have given the next Connie Chung or the next Al Roker an opportunity that he or she is not going to forget. And when it's tied to a legacy such as ours, nothing but goodness can come out of that. Because yes, we are here because of a tragedy. I was very happy working fashion in New York before I got that phone call that Sunday. But you know what? Looking at where we were to where we are, I tell people all the time, my daughter used to just be with me physically, whoever else she was with, and on social media. If you remember, Sam, when Deja was killed, we had the balloon launch at the park.
Yeah.
14 countries launched balloons in Deja's honor. Deja's name is on one of the walls in one of the residential neighborhoods in France, in Paris, written in a beautiful script. Deja's name is in Rome. Deja's name is in Venice. Deja's name is in Okinawa. It's in Taiwan. It's in Guam. It's in Vietnam. It's in somewhere else in Japan that I can't pronounce. But we literally were were contacted that day by people all over this planet who wanted to do something in her honor. And so, again, we have a great cause. We're doing great things. October 20th, especially if you're in Michigan, October 20th, at, what is it, 5:30, I think is when we're kicking off. The flyers and everything will all be posted. It's on our social media. But October 20th in the city of Detroit is when we have our 5th year gala, and it's going to be a phenomenal time. We're going to bless a lot of people. And if you can't go, what we're asking is, if you can't go, buy a ticket to support someone who can. We also are looking for donors to buy tables. And so if you would like to sponsor a table or sponsor a couple of tickets for someone, just hit us up, let us know, and you definitely will be mentioned at the gala, as well as your information will be listed in our donors book. And then you go down in Daziah T. Crawford history alongside with the legacy that we have.
Well, and just to piggyback off that, because and Nate said that so eloquently, for your audience in particular, and I really have a request that if they, for whatever reason, can't donate, as Nate mentioned, we're also having a silent auction. So maybe someone would like to donate a silent auction item that we can put in our on our table in our silent auction area. So I do have that request specifically for your audience, because I know, like you say, you have a lot of celebrity interviews, but as Nate said, the money definitely goes towards the students. That is our sole purpose. The only operating costs at this point are really marketing. And now the gala, we have to pay for the gala.
Absolutely.
So definitely would appreciate all the support and any support. And again, you can look at any of our social media, in particular Facebook, where we have our live, and YouTube, where you can see all the different things that we've done, not only with the students, but within the community and different media that have had us as well.
Rita, Nate, I love everything you just said. And I'm going to make sure I put this in the liner notes as we go live. As I talk, this is going out later on this week. Mm-hmm. Rita, I want to say this to you because I love you. You're my big sister. If there's anything about my audience, we ain't silent. I want to make that point. We are proud people of smack talkers. We are proud people who gonna let you know where they stand in life, let alone the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation. If you look for silence, I would just like to say you knocked on the wrong door.
Well, how about this? Let your items speak loud.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
For example, Sam, one of the items that we are going to auction off at the silent auction is dinner for two, plus a bottle of a really nice bottle of wine at a restaurant in New York City that will not be named just yet because I can't give it all to you.
No.
But
I feel that. I feel that.
So that's one of the items. There's talks possibly that we may be auctioning off an Airbnb for a weekend. Like, there's a whole lot of things going on. And so just to piggyback what Sharita was saying, if you can't sponsor a table, if you can't sponsor tickets, if you can't go yourself, then donate what it is your artistry is, whatever business you have. If you have a car wash business, you want to donate 5 free car washes for us to auction off. If you make Eastern Michigan University hats, you want to get in on that arena, you can. If you can't donate financially, then again, as I said in my initial statements, it's about the money, but it also is about the time, because Daziah gave both. She gave her time and she gave her money. And so anything that we can do in a positive light to honor her is truly appreciated.
Yeah. And with this being our first gala, it really is special to us. So I know we sound passionate about it because we are. It's our first gala. It's our 5-year anniversary, and we're so proud of what we've accomplished. So we hope that exudes to your audience and that we receive the support because it's not something you can't see. So we appreciate that.
Guys, I know we up against it, but in the past 5 years, and I say this, and I know I'm very biased. Very I can't even lie here. Like, I'm very biased. I watch y'all turn tragedy to triumph, to watch the new generation leech onto that. And I say that almost selfishly to Nate personally, because I have been an Arby's Taco Bell person when I was out there at Eastern Michigan University, and I know how to make a Mexican melt last about 2 days. If you want to play the game, let's play the game.
Impossible.
Oh, you have no idea. I know how to take a just brick of ramen and just really accentuate a situation. I have done this thing. Like, notes, I got you. I don't suggest this. This is non-dietary reasons. If you are on a diet,
give that
please,
disclaimer.
y'all listen to me. But yeah, if you need ramen for 3 days, yo, I got you. But at the same time, I understand what Daziah was doing. I understand how she laid those seeds down for people. And quite honestly, in a weird way, I don't think she exactly knew what she was doing in the long term, because by no stretch of the imagination should you have ramen for 3 days. But it just how she looked out for folks other than herself. If you are doing something bigger than you, this is what this foundation is about. And that is something I have latched on to A1 day one. So I say that to say this. Everything y'all toss up, I know October is a few weeks away. I'm going to post it, repost it. I need y'all to say it. This is the reason y'all on the podcast. This is the reason, like, I love y'all, because it's not just her. Because y'all took something in a weird way that shouldn't be. And I hope I'm walking my words right. But y'all are making it okay for those who walk that line of collegiate life. Who may not exactly know what they want to be. I know Daziah was journalism and all of that stuff. I gotta be honest, as a person who's there, that could change as a drop of a dime. But you're making it okay for those people to make these decisions, to have this legacy, to have these minor crisis. That's how I put it, because that's what it is. It's unfair for me at 17 to dictate the rest of my life based on what I pick as a major in college. I'm sorry, it's plain unfair. She did it, and I did it, and a lot of people in that process who did it, and she is not only seeing the results of what would be herself, but others do that thing in her name. That's when, if you want to keep it a buck, that's dope as shit, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
I mean, we have 2 girls at Spelman, and the coolest thing about that was, like, they're a year apart, and so being part of the Daziah T. Crawford family, once we gave the first scholarship, and then the second girl said, "Oh, I'm going to Spelman too," and then she qualified. It's like, oh, we already have a student down there. And so now, that's a sisterhood that they have that was formed by our foundation. And then just again, I love what you were just saying, Sam, because like you hit a major spark. The crazy thing about what you said as far as the giving, and like not even sure if Daziah really knew, like when she was giving the food and everything. Here is why giving is so important to the students that try to have the collegiate experience. The last thing we want is for a student to be in that bursar's window for less than $1,000. I see it every day.
Boy,
the last thing we want,
you nailed it,
is for someone to have had all their tuition sucked into the school, and then Cengage goes up with Brightwave and Brightspace to $145 for 51. That's 3 classes they can't take. Oh, wait a minute, because now Cengage you can only use for 2 books and for 1 semester at $145.11. We don't want these little nuance prices and fees to prohibit and inhibit somebody's collegiate experience that qualifies for one, that deserves one, because whether you believe it or not, yes, the government says your parents have to make sure you're educated up until the 12th grade. Well, for those that want more than that, it's their right and privilege to be able to have that. And if you can help us to provide that experience for someone, please do.
Yeah. Especially considering that we know when it comes to the schools, and this is from elementary through high school, if it is a budget cut decision, the first budget that's cut is performing arts.
Yes.
It's the arts. Yeah. And because it's the arts that's cut first, we also take that into consideration, that we want people to donate to us, because if that high school student, because our qualifying applicants have to be either high school seniors or college freshmen, if that student who loves the arts, no matter what it is, and they're cut, but they have to now pay to maybe go to an outside dance studio, let's just use as an example, they're still looking to get a scholarship to fulfill their dream. You know, Sam, like you just said, what I apply for may not be what I want to do. I may change my major throughout the course of my, tenure as a college student. And if I'm passionate from the beginning about what I want to do, if it's in the arts or journalism, we're saying, hey, we're here, fill out the application. We even consider students that may not be the 4.0s or the 3.0s. Our qualifying requirement is 2.7 GPA, because we understand that it's not necessarily always the 4.0 students, because sometimes that discourages a student of, well, I have to be up here, even though I know my talent is good and I know my talent is great enough for me to get where I want to go, but I don't necessarily have the funding to get there. And again, knowing your audience in particular, I know they probably can relate to that. So I, just wanted to mention that as well. That's why we're really particular about donating to us, because we can show you not only where the funds are going, but the students who are receiving them.
To piggyback, wait, Sam, hold on.
Go ahead.
Real quick, to piggyback on what Sharita just said, because it's very important. Sharita, thank you for bringing that part up. The reason that we went that route in our inception is because I'm going to give you a blanket example that I gave to the state of New York when I started the foundation. Thelonious Monk could never have been a 4-point student. But Thelonious Monk wrote some of the most beautiful work for a pianist that is still played today. Charlie Parker, considered the founder of jazz,
real talk,
did not have a formal education. And yet he's the founder of jazz. Artistic people sometimes do not test well. And because of that, it slows down and it basically blankets them in only being able to qualify for a certain level of help when it comes to their college finances. You have a lot of, and it's a week, and that's a whole nother podcast in itself, because professional test takers, I mean, Sam, you're one, God bless you. But at the same time, it's become so common. We were brought up in high schools that taught us to learn. They actually taught us substance. We learned things. We didn't just learn how to. All of our classes weren't orchestrated around taking a standardized test. And because of that, we understand that, and we know that. And so out of respect for understanding that 2.9 student that can't get this aid or that aid or this aid, but yet can paint better than Picasso, or that dancer who might have barely a 3.0, but can tap dance with Savion Glover any day of the week, we're going to help that student. Because again, it's performing arts and journalism.
Now, what you are saying,
I had to throw that in. Sorry.
I'm glad you do it. I'm glad you did that, because what you are seeing me, I'm going to use all the Kojic in me, because I can learn this. You don't follow a word when somebody give you one. Tell me if I'm telling lies. Shout out Army. I know who I'm talking to.
Shout out Army.
All right. With that said, we wrapping it up. We getting around that time of the podcast. There's nothing I can say that's better than that. From here on out, the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation, I thank y'all so much for joining this podcast, just to talk about it, how they can give to it, just for me. If you want to keep it funky, if you want to keep it 100, you really want to put that buck on it, I get a chance to chill with y'all for roughly an hour.
That's a fact.
Yo, I didn't think it took a podcast for us to do this, but here we are. Y'all always been my guys. I love y'all for that, and I thank y'all for it. I am going to do everything in my power to make sure the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation is in everyone's face, and I just love y'all for it. So
too, man.
I know this goes out at the end of the week. I lost time based on this. We chilling, we talking, we this was awesome. Thank y'all so much. One more time for the cheap seats. Where can they find everything related to the Daziah T. Crawford Foundation?
I'm gonna pass this on to my COO. And,
all right, go ahead.
And just
go ahead.
To close everything out, Sam. I just, I don't want to embarrass you in front of your listeners, but I mean, considering
you want to start not embarrassing me. Okay.
Considering we're talking about people who followed you around the city of Detroit, watching you put your then soon to be fiance's wedding ring in a box full of mice.
That sounds about right. That happened. That actually happened.
I'm sure they'll understand when I say happy belated birthday, Sparky.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And just for you, Sam, just for you, only for you, because we love you and thank you for having us on.
Yes.
I have partnered on your behalf. Tomorrow, every 7-Eleven will give out a free Slurpee if you mention Sam Slurpees.
Done. I didn't think. Oh, great.
And by the time this airs, if you missed it, I'm sorry. Blame it on Sam.
I got to do that. Oh, great. All right.
On that note.
Yes.
Okay, so our website is www.tdtcfoundation.org. You can see all of our latest information and past information, including our recipients that we've mentioned. Our upcoming gala is Sunday, October 20th. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. at the newly renovated Community Center at A.B. Ford on Lenox Street off the water. Beautiful view. Anyone that wants to donate or be a sponsor, when you go onto our website, it immediately pops up so you can't miss it. And we would encourage you to take a look. And if you want to just donate, again, you can go to our website and just give us a donation as well. We always send a thank you to everyone. We are, as we said, a nonprofit 501c3, so you can claim it on your taxes. A lot of people want to make sure that they know that as well. And we just appreciate all of the support. And if you do have an item that we can use for our silent auction, we definitely would appreciate that as well. We're planning on having some very, very nice, as Nate mentioned earlier, items to have in our silent auction. No junk items, packages and things of that nature, but this will be a very upscale event. We're very blessed with the team that we put together to help us with this event, so it will be spectacular.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I can't even, like I said, Kojic, you don't follow a word with another word. And I love y'all so much. I'm going to end this podcast. I'm going to hit the end button because I'm going to say a thing and it's going to make Nate do a thing. And now we in another hour. Now we in another hour. It happens. But I love y'all so much. Daziah T. Crawford Foundation. And I'm going to do everything with the weight of this podcast behind it. I love y'all so much.
Love you too.
I just want y'all to just keep it moving because, hey, this has always been good since A1 day one, and I just want to keep it going.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. I love y'all right back, and I'll see y'all next time.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.